Finally! Looks like the ball is rolling up for old KirbAvion today. Okay, so maybe I've had an okay experience in this trial chamber. It depends what this book is. Density 2. This structure sucks! Ladies and gentlemen, I am coming to you live from the bottom of the hole, where we are currently at negative 112 at its lowest depth, to the best of my knowledge, which means there's only about 80 blocks to go. Not even that, because bedrock is like 5. So we might be done with this by the end of August. Let's see. The creeper farm is working very well. I have no information to back that up because I haven't used it since last time, but you saw what it did last time, so that's great. And nothing else has changed. That's about it. Like I went to bed right after that, and then I just got back on. So that's all you need to know. And there's one thing that's not good though. That was my segue. There's one thing that isn't good. I don't have any mud. Look at that. There's not even a top on that. There's no mud. I mean, that's not really missing any parts, but like there's detailing that's not done. But I don't need mud for that, so that's a bad example. But that's not done. There's no fresco on this side, or whatever that is. I haven't finished doing that anyway, so that's mostly temporary. But I still need mud. Don't let that distract you from the fact that I need mud. That's what I'm gonna do now. Now the cruel irony of all this is that I need the mud that I don't really have to make the machine to get the mud, because I need something to make it out of. Okay, so I'm gonna try and build this as close to the border of the chunk as I can, because I want to give myself enough leeway on the edges. Now this is a fairly large machine, but like I might have built it bigger than it needs to be. So let's see. Okay, so the first thing we need, a pretty straightforward cobblestone generator here. I always get these wrong because I don't make them very often because I'm not a sucker. And then I think you can just do this. Yeah, so that's fine. And then we need just a piston here. So we need a comparator and a bulb there. This becomes relevant later. So this is sort of a system that I made wrong accidentally, but it worked, so I'm fine with it. This is basically just to rate limit. What this hopper is going to go into is it's going to go into the fabricator. And this is just a way to rate limit how fast things go into there, because the fabricator will try to place a block pretty much as soon as it can. And we would like to avoid that, if at all possible, because this system needs to be timed around when the shell dredger activates, not when the fabricator activates. So we take a repeater, power it. That is going to go into here. There's a piece of redstone here, and I believe a block there. So whenever there is a block here, that will immediately power this piston if it can, and hopefully there's no scenario where it can't. It's not hard to, put this on a loop so that when it tries to power this piston, it does so repeatedly so that it, never gets jammed. But the system should be able to keep up as long as the dredger has fuel, and if it runs out of fuel, I can, I have to manually reset it anyway, because there's not currently a way to auto refuel it. I'm working on it, but that's one thing at a time. And this goes along to here, where there is an end rod facing this way, and a sticky piston set up to push it. So there's a weird quirk, and I'm not entirely sure why this happens, but I'm going to try and take advantage of it, where a shell dredger doesn't try to fire if it's on a hopper, and thus doesn't expend fuel, which is intentional. But for some reason, if the hopper is powered, it will stay there for a while. It reduces the amount of noise it makes trying to reorient itself. So I'm gonna take advantage of that. I'm not entirely sure what's happening there because it's sort of spaghetti code, and it's hard to diagnose problems. But wait, what? This goes here, that goes there, end rod. That wasn't so hard. Okay, so this hopper is going to be locked until... Then this does mean that sometimes an item will get stuck in here, but if this machine is constantly running, we're going to be losing one item total at a time, so it should be fine. I really enjoyed falling down there. That was great. And then this goes here and gets powered, I believe, by a redstone torch here. So when a block hits this, these torches go off, piston retracts. There's no longer a piston head in the way of the dredger, so it will try and move forward, fire, and then the end rod will push it back, and the moment this block goes away, this will also retract, and the timing is sufficient that the shell dredger will already be moving by the time this is retracted. Fortunately, pushing a dredger with a piston does not cause it to move with the piston, which is probably a good thing. Now, there is a way to make an automatic mud machine, quote unquote, in vanilla, but by God, did I hate doing that. Basically, the method is you get a stone generator and a moss farm, and you turn the stone into moss, you bone meal the moss until an azalea spawns on it, and then you bone meal the azalea, and when the azalea grows, it will turn into... it'll turn the moss under it into rooted dirt, and you take the rooted dirt, you use a water bottle on it, and then you have to blow that up with TNT. So this, I vastly prefer this. My least favorite thing about making a mud machine is making a machine that automatically refills the bottles. And that's done like this. And then there's a repeater here that I really hope I don't have on a delay, because I don't remember what delay I have it on. I hope it's a repeater, in fact, because I can't see from these stupid pictures I took. Oh, this is the item filter. This isn't a repeater. This is a comparator. I knew that. And then on the other side of this is a redstone torch. Okay. So, it's getting dark again. It's getting dark again, everybody! I'm going to try and do this from memory, because I don't actually remember the internal components of this. I just know that it was this wide. So, this is stupid. I need a dispenser. This has an empty bottle in it and filler items that I don't have because I plan ahead. Perfect. Okay. So that's the filter. This goes into here, which goes into here. And then this is where things start to get annoying. Comparator, which feeds into a block. Block has redstone on it. Now the comparator is not sitting on the mud because it's sitting on the observer that's pointing at the redstone. Again, this is another thing that if more than one thing goes in there, it's going to get jammed, but there shouldn't ever be a scenario where there's more than one bottle in there. So we're going to point an observer at it. Fortunately, I actually have those. Yep. You. All right. And then this is the stupid part. So we do that. We take another hopper that has to go there. So what I've done here is largely unnecessary, but it gives me some peace of mind. I take dispenser, which fires when there's a thing in it, right? And scaffolding, waterlog the scaffolding. And then when this dispenser fires, it fills and ejects. And the item will float to the top because it's, in water, but it also won't be able to float back down because it's on scaffolding. And then this is the very dangerous part. We put some water there, right next to my redstone, which is fine. And we fill that in so that that can't go in there. And then the water bottle will dispense, shoot up, go in that hopper, and go right back into this dispenser. So let's see. So water bottles go in here. When they get used, they turn into a glass bottle, and they go right back in. Okay, so I'm also going to do that, and I'm going to put one there because the water needs to flow into that space, but it doesn't really need to be flowing here, and that'll just have it bonk off of that and go into there. So that's that part, which was the annoying part. Okay, let's just go. All right, and that turns that off, which puts the piece of dirt in this thing. And then, yeah, the problem is that you do have to build up a backlog. So I actually, okay, then he picks it up. That cobblestone gets pushed in. That goes in there. Yep, okay, machine is working. So, you're probably asking why the cobblestone generator. And it's fairly straightforward. You might recall the bolster plate as a mechanism for pulverizing things. With this system, the way it currently is, we're going to run out of dirt. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take cobblestone from here, pulverize it into gravel, combine it with dirt, pulverize the coarse dirt back into regular dirt, put that back into the crafter, and essentially turn this cobblestone generator into a dirt generator, pipe the rest of the dirt, which is probably just going to stay coarse dirt, back into here, and keep the system running indefinitely. That makes sense, right? Okay, I'm not even going to time-lapse that because that was just unpleasant. I've got part of it in. This is the machine that turns the stone into, or the cobblestone into gravel. So basically, again, a lot of this system is rigged up under the assumption that only one thing will be going into this input at a time. If more than one goes in, this whole system breaks. We throw this in. It's picked up by the filter. Dispenses. This actually trips off of the hopper filter. So when an item goes through, it shoots it out, crushes it, and that gets picked up in here. This unlocks the moment the crusher retracts, and that goes into the dropper, which goes into what is going to be a bubble column, but isn't yet. Make sense? Good. This is great. This is real fun. I enjoyed that. Well, this is sort of how this works now. Okay, sure. Oh man, did that blow up my bed too? I think in my ideal universe, I've got some part of this building lined with these, but for the time being, I'm just going to put one out front. I don't have any scaffolding. That's great. Just one head on a stick. Just so people know what happens in here. That seems reasonable. This looks like a crazy person made it. Here's basically what's happening. So, cobblestone is harvested, crushed into gravel in here. That goes into this water elevator, goes up. Yep, that's my favorite part of this. Has been falling off. Goes up into this tube, goes along, hits this item sorter. Gravel will go into here, and then that, once there's more bulk storage here, will get piped into a crafter that's pointing into this chest. I have taken that out for the time being, but just for the sake of argument, the crafter would be here. That's pointing the wrong way. It's making coarse dirt. When it finishes making coarse dirt, it ejects into this chest. Half of it goes into here and is just cycled back into here, and coarse dirt goes into here. and the other half goes into here, is cycled into a different crusher, and when coarse dirt goes into that, let's see what happens. It gets crushed, goes back up here, goes along, and into here where it is now regular dirt. So the very important part of this is that the crafter has to be going into the chest because it has to eject all 4 items at once. If a hopper is going into this chest, it won't work because because one item will go in, one item will come out. One item will go in, one item will come out. If there's more than one item at a time, they'll both go in separate directions. But if it's only one item, it'll only go in one hopper. It doesn't like round robin it or whatever. So we got to be careful about that. But that's pretty much the only caveat here. The other one, of course, being that I need to move this because there needs to be a lot more space for gravel storage because we're going to be getting a lot of gravel and we're going to be using half as much gravel as we get pretty much. So the main improvement I want to make is I want to reduce the ratio of mud to cobblestone because right now it's a 1-to-1 and does not need to be. It can be significantly reduced, and this I think can just be accomplished by adding copper bulbs in more places. There was one other snag I want to address, and I'm going to step away to do it because it's actually still very loud over here. So this scaffolding in here, there was a small chance that it could go flying this direction and get wedged between the block here and this hopper, so I just replaced the scaffolding with trapdoors. Okay, I think this thing works now. Let's take a look here. So this system I changed a little bit from the last time I went over it. Previously, it was splitting mud and cobblestone evenly. That was really fuel inefficient. So my solution was, instead of pushing one dirt, having it harvested, and then pushing one cobblestone into the same stream, now every 4 times this is harvested, which is controlled by this redstone lamp, it pushes a cobblestone on top of the mud, and the dredger will try to harvest them both. See, it just happened right there. And how this works is basically every 2 times this gets toggled once, and so on and so forth. So you can make like exponential counters with this basically, and this is just a simple every 4 or so it'll harvest one of these, and that's fairly fuel efficient. So you see it did the cobblestone, mud, that turned off, mud, that turned off, mud, and then that turned on, and then we're back to cobblestone. And that is keeping up pretty much exactly with the demand for dirt and gravel. And this is the line at the same time that the cobblestone trips the item filter. Anytime this extends, this will send a pulse up here in addition to sending a pulse over here. And this will go up to this room over here. So this sends this pulse up to here, and this is what activates the crafter. So this will pulse once when the torch goes on and once when the torch goes off, and that will make 2 of these every time. And that will loop back around into this machine. 2 of the coarse dirt will go into here and just get sent up. I also have this pot here so that if I accidentally pick anything up, I can just right-click, throw it in there. That goes into an identical dispenser setup right here that shoots it back into the same water stream. Don't ask me why I did it this way. I could have probably piped the cobblestone up into here too. Whatever. And 2 of it will go into, again, identical crusher machine. Well, not completely identical, because this one actually is set up to continue pulsing while it has stuff in there. Ah, see, this is why I need this. And that puts it right back into that dropper. So this continuously pulses while there's items in the dropper. It's a little bulkier to do it that way, which is why I didn't do it down there. So anything that goes in there will just get shot into that water stream. It's all fairly straightforward. And that travels up there, and that pulverizes the 2 coarse dirt into regular dirt so that it can go back to being used in this recipe. And this all goes up 2 more floors into this tube right up at the top. That used to do something and now it doesn't. So mud goes into there, and that goes down into this big shelf right here. We are racking up quite a bit, and I've already used quite a lot just making backup packed mud. And finally, at the very end, the coarse dirt goes into here, which goes into here, which goes into this line of barrels and hoppers. The only reason I used barrels was because I didn't have enough hoppers, and that will eventually filter down even further, go down this chain for no good goddamn reason, and that will go into this dropper. And it is keeping up fairly well with demand to the best of my knowledge. So every so often I was losing 1 or 2 dirt, which I believe was through a combination of standing too close to the tube because it just goes straight in your inventory, and the water stream that I was using prior to this would have the would occasionally end up with something getting stuck inside of the hitbox of a hopper where it wasn't technically in the water stream but also wasn't going into the hopper because it wasn't what that item was filtered for. I don't know if that was the case. It could have been something to do with chunk unloading, but either way, I believe I have solved that by just swapping this out with a hopper line. And this is just for decoration. This doesn't do anything. It just keeps items from falling into these hoppers, basically. And if anything goes into the tube that isn't supposed to be there, it gets filtered out to the end here. So that's all fairly straightforward. The only thing I have to do is I think I need to move the mud filter from here to here, because this block needs to be a solid block so that it can pass redstone current through it. But this block can't be a solid block because then the wall will connect to it and it will mess up the symmetry of the wall on the outside, because this one does not have a middle column and this one does. But other than that, and a better access panel to get down here and refuel the dredger, I think I need to have a switch that I can pull to hold the dredger in place as well, because if you're trying to refuel it and it keeps going back and forth like that, it's unpleasant to do. Again, I think in a later version of Foundation, I will have a thing that will make the shell dredger not required as a component of this. The shell dredger is the way that it is because it's designed for clearing out large areas, and I would like something that is more of a bespoke, you want to break one block at a time type thing that doesn't necessarily need fuel, because I don't know that that's that powerful. I think this is all fairly straightforward. These are just here so that you can't go over there and bump into the tube and accidentally pick up some dirt. So that's what we need to know there. This is a potted plant. That doesn't do anything. And next up, I need a goddamn sugarcane farm, because I'm running out of fireworks and the bottleneck is no longer gunpowder, and it's the easiest thing in the world to make, and I don't know why I haven't yet.
Okay, yeah. I'm seeing the vision now.
Okay, now, you understand I'm going to tear this down.
Now, here's the, I think, a picture window. Oh.
All right.
Okay.
You've made me get a gun. Which one of you two is going to clean this up?
Sit. Oh, it's actually a gun. I gotta get out of here.
Which one of you two is going to clean this up?
Uh-oh. That's what I get for not having that on. Wind charge. Dint me away.
It's me. I'm going to clean it up. I don't think they're coming back.
I can't believe it. It's been gentrified.